For this part of the video, I'm going to be sharing a couple of quick tips that I think are quite useful, and also to make you think on how you can apply them to your work and to your drawings. My first tip, probably the most important one, is you need to have fun while drawing. If it's not fun, then why even bother, right? If you're like me, like I said, you're probably doing this on your free time, you have a day job, you're really just doing this because you enjoy the act of drawing. Maybe it's releases the stress, maybe for some other reason, but you enjoy doing it. And I think it's important that if you're not doing this for financial reasons, that then you are just doing it because it's fun, and you need to have fun. If you're not having fun while drawing, then perhaps it's not the hobby for you. Perhaps you can pursue something else entirely, unless this is your bread maker, as they say. Into that segues my second tip, or my second general recommendation, is that ideally you should draw what you like. This is also very important, especially if you're not mandated by any contract, it's not your career. It's important that you draw what you like. In my case, I particularly like to draw slice of life situations, just people going around doing their business, maybe at a restaurant, on the sidewalk, exchanging, interacting, talking to one another. This is what I enjoy to draw, based on what I see on my day-to-day experiences. When I go out, when I have the opportunity to travel for a bit, that is what I enjoy drawing. You're not going to see necessarily fantasy drawings in my portfolio, for example. And that's simply because it's not something that I enjoy drawing. The same thing for you. If you enjoy drawing X, let's say cars, just go draw cars. If you enjoy drawing buildings. If you are in this course, then probably you enjoy some pieces of my style. You would like to take something from my style. And yeah, you probably enjoy drawing people. So that's very important. You should draw what you like. Another very important tip, so tip number 3, and this one is very important. You need to be keenly aware of what are your shortcomings when drawing. And you need to be able to have some sort of feedback, to be able to receive some sort of feedback from the outside. What I mean by this is that it's very easy to fall in the trap of you only receive feedback from people that like you. This can be a good thing if the person is very honest with you, or it can be a bad thing because people that love you might necessarily want to hurt you or make you think that, oh, my drawing was not good enough. So they might sugarcoat something, and they always will say that the drawing is good. It's very important that you have positive feedback in that sense, but it's also important that you seek out feedback from outside sources, constructive feedback that can help you improve. I can tell you that currently, nowadays, in the age of social media, Instagram, it is quite much easier than it was to obtain feedback for your drawings. Many artists are reachable by direct message on Instagram. I can tell you that a lot of artists as well, they put the whole I don't reply to DMs. Honestly, that sometimes does feel a bit weird. So I also receive a lot of DMs. Sometimes just a hi is enough to brighten the other person. But aside from that, a lot of artists will be able to provide you some quick feedback, some quick tips. If you just reach out to them, explain where you're coming from. And if they're not, then you just move on to the next person that can potentially help you. Don't feel entitled to their feedback. This is very important. But If it's something that you think you need, feel free to approach an artist that you enjoy their work, and feedback will be provided to you. Of course, since you have bought this course, I am also available to provide any input or feedback on your drawings or your style to the matter of to the extent of my ability. This is very important. And speaking of being aware of shortcomings, of course, I also have my own shortcomings in terms of illustration. I'm only recently, I think I've improved in drawing hands. I'm terrible at drawing feet. I cannot draw feet for the life of me. And there's many other things that I cannot draw very well. Animals being one, for example. Whenever someone asks me to draw a horse, then yeah, I am unable to draw a horse. But that's because I didn't focus in drawing animals, because it's not something that I particularly enjoy doing. If you enjoy drawing animals, you will get to a point through practice that you can just, maybe on demand, learn how to draw a horse. But yeah, that was my third tip. Be aware. The fourth tip is that if your time is limited, if you're juggling a job, maybe you're also juggling a kid, and then your hobby, which is drawing, it is important to be laser focused on one medium. That's very important. You need to leverage the little amount of time that you have, the limited amount of time that you have, and because of that, you need to focus on one or two instruments of drawing, maybe the pen, maybe the pencil, maybe watercolors. I think it's very important to not try to diversify too much if your time is limited. You need to focus on one thing, and you need to focus on the thing that you enjoy using. That's very important. If you have much more time available to you, let's say you have 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours per day to dedicate to drawing, that's a completely different story. You do have the luxury to diversify, I think, and you can focus on multiple drawing instruments at the same time. But if you don't have the luxury of time, focus on just one. That's my one or two. That's my advice. Myself, I focus on brush pens and point liners for the time being. That's my focus. 2 items only. I would love to be able to focus on coloring, for example, coloring my drawings, but that's something that requires first practice. I would need to practice on color theory. That's one thing. And then it's one more set of tools that I will need to master and be able to employ effectively. In the past, I focused on painting with gouache, but that was at the expense of drawing with a brush pen or a pen. So you win some, you lose some. There's always a drawback to this exchange. You're exchanging your time for proficiency in one thing or 2 things. This is very important. Fortunately, we are in the age of the internet. There's a lot of content that a lot of sources that you can search out, that you can seek, that provide instructional content to you, sometimes even free. YouTube is full of it, books, everything. The amount of content does mean that you need to wade through a lot of, let's say, fluff, a lot of, how do you even say in English, a lot of filler. You will have to wade through a lot of filler. Sometimes that exercise can be a bit hard, what's good and what's not. So my recommendation is, if you're feeling lost, try and see if the artist that you look up to, the artist that you enjoy the work, has, for example, a book available. Do they have a course available? How easy is it to buy their book? How is it to buy their course? Good price, yes or no? That's also, if that's important, can also be important, right? See if those artists have something of instructional nature that you can perhaps acquire, that you can take home and use. So that would be my 5th tip. 7th tip Very important. I feel it's very important. It's something that I do say a lot to whenever I have the chance to give drawing lessons, whenever I'm doing a drawing show. I guarantee you there's always one person or two that come to me and say, I like drawing, I like your stuff, here's my stuff. And they show me a photo on their album of drawings. And I always say, that's so cool, or provide some feedback. And then I say, how can I follow you to see your works, your development? And a lot of people, one or two, there's always one or two that say, I don't have anything online, I don't want to do it, I'm shy, I'm not confident, I'm scared of what other people might think. I guarantee you there's always that person that comes to me. And my advice to them is always the same. Don't be afraid of putting yourself out there. You don't owe anyone anything, especially in regards to your hobbies, especially in regards to what you enjoy doing in your free time. You don't owe anyone anything. So you shouldn't be shy of putting yourself out there. I think that's also an exercise in building confidence that you probably put out there into the world. What is it that you have produced? It builds confidence. It will help you build your confidence as well. This goes far beyond drawing. This goes to life in general. Another thing that I always say to them is that if the person is concerned or has received negative feedback in the sense that it was not constructive, it was feedback of, tearing down the work of someone, what I always say is that that's online, that only exists in that context. If you go outside like you are right now, maybe with me, showing me your stuff, you will not get that type of tearing down feedback. So that type of very negative feedback that's restricted to social media, it doesn't exist in real life. That's very important. And I also always say that you should only focus on the feedback. You should only focus with the opinions of, number one, the people that you love, right? The people that you love and the people that love you back. That's very important. You need to make that, you need to be aware of who is the circle of people that love you and that you love them back, so that you can take their feedback and apply it. So you should be concern yourself with that. And you should also be focused only with the feedback of whoever is paying you, let's say, for a drawing. If that group doesn't exist and you're just drawing for yourself, then everything else is irrelevant. Feel free to share your stuff to the world. People will enjoy it. I can assure you there are so many people in the world. I can promise you that at least one person will enjoy what is that you put out. I can guarantee you that. Another tip, and this is more of a practical tip. Start being in the habit of bringing with you a pen, a pencil, and paper. When I say with you is, let's say you're going to take the bus and you are at the bus station and maybe 10 minutes, you need to wait 10 minutes for the bus to come. You're going to take the train and you're going to have those 20 minutes, 30 minutes not doing anything. You are going for a coffee and it's just you're not being rude to anyone by just grabbing some paper, grabbing a pen and start drawing there, maximizing the time that you have and trying to avoid falling into the trap of just always, doom scrolling on the phone while you're waiting idle time. I'm also guilty of that. That's the reality. But I do try and always have paper available with me, because I never know when downtime can happen, when I can be maximizing my time drawing instead of just looking at social media. So, for example, I always have with me, I have a bag with me almost every time. And here I have, let's say, a sketchbook. And I also have a couple of pens with me. So get into this habit of having this with you. There's plenty of opportunity, I think, in my life and your life as well, where you have 15 minutes to kill, you're waiting for something, nothing is happening, you can just draw something, or at least practice during that time. Think of an idea, thumbnail an idea, look through your references. Maybe you took a photo of a nice building. How can you incorporate that into a drawing? There's multiple things that you can do, that you can try to do during that idle time, that I truly recommend that you do. Number nine. This is also a very important tip. I believe that I built my audience, especially during the time of the pandemic, by doing what many perceive to be a very impressive trick, which is drawing straight with a pen, a brush pen or ink, drawing straight to paper without a sketch. And depending on where you go online, on certain circles, there's a lot of worship. I'm not sure the best word, but worship of people that can do that on demand. Just start drawing without a sketch, straight to paper. And I'm also guilty of that, in the sense that I also enjoy very much seeing that. I'm always amazed at the fact that some people can do that. But at the same time, I think that, and I did that as well, fully realizing that sometimes it was a bit of a circus trick. In my case, I also employ that simply because sometimes I don't have the time to prepare a pencil sketch and I just want to draw. But it's very important not to fall into the trap of idolizing that so much that you forgo completely pencil sketches or just sketches in general before you do a final piece. I think that if you prepare a sketch of your piece before doing the final piece, everything about the final piece will improve. Composition in particular, composition will be greatly improved, as well as overall the robustness of the drawing. It will be so much better. It does give the idea that it's so much better thought out. Again, I want to take it back to the first point, have fun. If you have fun drawing without a pencil sketch, that's what I just said is neither here or there. You continue doing it as long as you have fun. But I urge you not to idolize too much that technique, and not idolize, because I also enjoy it. What I mean to say is not to feel that you're not good enough because you see people doing that and you are unable to do that. That's a very hard place to be mentally. You're always going to feel like you're not good enough, but that's just life. There's always someone better than us at a given thing. But if you're drawing just for fun, this shouldn't concern you. And also, again, employing a sketch in your drawing will help the composition of the drawing tremendously. It will look so much better thought out. That's my tip, my additional tip. My last tip, general tip, before we go into the drawing tips, is to, and this goes back into the buy courses thing, but try to buy a couple of books for practice and review. I have a couple of recommendations that I'm going to put here. Of course, the intent of this course is not going to be to look at these books in detail. That's far from it. But I'll give you some recommendations of books that I enjoy. I have a lot of art books. Not every one of them is, let's say, a must-buy. Far from it. But there are a couple of books that I truly recommend that you, if you have the chance, if you have the capital as well, to buy or try to acquire. A lot of these books can also be found for cheap, secondhand, I believe, on eBay. So there's also that. Of course, I do urge you that if you can, buy directly from the artist. That way you're going to be supporting the artist. Yeah. The first book this one is a very modest recommendation, but it's a very nice overview of perspective. It is Perspective Made Easy by Ernest Norling. I'm not sure if the gentleman is still alive. This book is very old. It just covers rules of perspective in a simple way. It is a bit of text heavy though, but if you have the time to go through the book, you'll probably know more about perspective than I. I went through the book many years ago. It was a very interesting read. And like I said in one of my introductory notes, the idea is that I took from here what I needed to apply for my drawings. I don't know the book by memory. I don't think you should know the book by memory. I think you should take out from here what is it that you need, what is it that you want to apply in your drawings. Additional books that I recommend are the books from Dong-Go Kim as well. Most of them are in Korean, unfortunately, but the great thing about art is that it's very visual, so you can take whatever it is that you want from these books in terms of anatomy. It provides anatomy in a more stylized way, but his mastery of perspective, it's just so inspiring. So I cannot recommend enough the books from Dong-Go Kim for your learning adventure. They can be a bit hard to source, however, so do your best within reason to try and acquire. This one is actually autographed by the artist. Again, I just reached out to the artist directly and asked if he could autograph my book. So a lot of artists are very reachable like that. Another book that you see very recommended, and I want to cover these, are the Figure Drawing for What It's Worth by Loomis, and then George Bridgman, Constructive Anatomy. I have these books. I went through these books. I understand what they are. I understand their time and place, but I particularly I haven't employed them much for my style. I don't enjoy them very much, in particularly George Bridgman. I'm probably just saying some blasphemy because these books are quoted to hell and back in internet circles. But in the case of Loomis, yeah, the book is tremendous. It's a lot of value, but it does have I think it has the flaw in that it teaches you how to draw very tall people. Everyone is super tall, super athletic. Everyone has, and we can talk about this when we get to the anatomy, everyone has 8 heads of measurement. So in that sense, it is a bit more limiting. It's the quote-unquote perfect body, in a way. Everyone is very tall, but every book has something that you can take out from it. What I took out from this book is really the 8-head measurement for the human body and a couple of other techniques. The mannequin that he employs is also very useful in that sense. He does employ a mannequin style that is very much his own, in particularly to the hips. It's very much his own style of mannequin. And I think that's also something that you probably see, that everyone has a different style of doing a mannequin. It's very fluid in that sense. But yeah, this book in particular is I think it's drawing very tall people. It's for drawing very tall people. And then you have George Bridgman. And I have 2 more of George Bridgman, The Constructive Anatomy. books, the thing that I don't enjoy about this book is that it's essentially drawing without the fat tissue. It's a lot focused on the muscles, right? So it's like if they had a mannequin, they took out the fat and only have the muscles. And it's a very blocky look. It's a very blocky look. So you can see here, it's a very blocky look to the muscles. It's a very blocky look to the human body. It's the way he breaks it down, of course, but particularly it's not something that I employ often for my drawings, but it's useful if you want a stripped down view of the human body. But yeah, I mean, for example, the hands here, right? I don't know a whole lot of people that have such pronounced thumbs. This is incredible. I'll try to put a photo when I'm editing the video, but everything is very blocky. Everything is very blocky. That's my main feeling whenever I went through these books. And it is useful in the sense that you can take a look at individual pieces of the human body, but at the same time, it's almost as if you are drawing in order to prepare to sculpt one of those Greek or Roman statues. In real life, you will be hard-pressed to find people that have this body figure and this blockiness. So yeah, I don't necessarily recommend these two books. At the same time, they're a very nice history piece, and I do enjoy having them in my collection as well. A book that I recommend very strongly, it's Stonehouse's Anatomy. It's a big book. I don't think you need to go through the entirety of it, but it provides an anatomy overview in a more stylized way, at the same time in a very realistic way. In that, yeah, I enjoy the way he breaks down things in a very easy to understand manner in regards to the human body. You can find this book in English, which is also a plus. It's from Stonehouse. I don't know his name. He goes by Stonehouse. I enjoy the book. It's a very big book. I went through half of it. But yeah, it's an incredible book, incredibly good book that if you can, try to add it to your collection. Lastly, and it's a very important book, is my own book. It's very important. So I published this book in 2023. It's a compilation of drawings from 2018 to 2023. I'm plugging my own stuff right now, but yeah, if you have the opportunity, my book is also available, Volume 1, first book. And you can take a look at it and see if there's anything that you can extract into your own drawings. Maybe the way I draw the nose, maybe the way I draw clothing. Of course, if you're here for the course, you're going to learn that, right? But then you have here in a physical format that you can cherish and pass on to the next generation. Other things that you can try to buy, but we're going to go into a bit more detail after, is some random books whenever you are out traveling from local artists. So I really enjoyed this book on fashion. You know, a very stylized way of drawing characters. Magazines as well. Magazines are always useful to have for references. You know, this magazine in particular even comes with the way on how to draw these robots. So whenever you're out looking for a nice reference, maybe you're out of ideas and you just want to explore something, magazines is always something very useful to have with you. So yeah, that was the overview of the tips. Let's jump on to the next video.